If you have a dream, never give up on it. Sylvester Stallone. I knew what I wanted to do with my whole life, ever since I was very young. I wanted to be in the movie business, period. Not just TV, but movies. My reasoning was that movies would allow me to not only entertain but also inspire people. This drive is what makes most of my movies inspire people to see what they're capable of overcoming despite unbelievable obstacles, because, in my own life, I felt like I did that when I was born. I was pulled out by the forceps, and that's what made me look the way I did. This is why I talked the way I did. This is why I wanted to create movies to inspire. I wasn't willing to settle for anything else. I then went out to try to get acting jobs. It didn't work out very well. Agents looked at me and said, "Hey, you're stupid looking, go do something else. There is no place for you in this. You're never going to be a star in the movies. You're insane. No one's going to listen if somebody looks dopey and talks out of the side of their mouth." I got no, after no, after no, after no. I was thrown out of agents' offices in New York more than 1,500 times. There aren't 1,500 agents in New York. I'd go to an agent's office 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 times. One time, I got into an agent's office at 4 o'clock. He wouldn't see, so I stayed overnight. He came in the next morning, and I'm still there. This is how I got my first job. The guy pointed and said, "Come in here." We sat down, and he gave me my first movie role. I was in it for 20 seconds as a thug that someone beat up. The agent felt that because of the way I looked and talked, people would enjoy seeing me beat up. I did 3 movies like this, and nothing ever came of them. I kept going out. Rejection after rejection came my way. I finally realized this approach wasn't working. So I changed my approach. At the same time, I was starving. I couldn't even pay for heat in my apartment. My wife was screaming at me every day to go get a job. I didn't because I was afraid that if I got a job, I'd be seduced again and lose my hunger. I knew that the only way I could do this was if this was my only choice. I needed to burn all bridges, because if I did a normal job, pretty soon I'd be caught up in that rhythm. I would feel okay about my life, and my dream would gradually disappear. I wanted to maintain this hunger. Hunger was my only advantage. My wife didn't understand this at all. We'd have vicious fights. At one point, it was freezing. I was broke and had no money, so I went to the public library one day because it was warm there. I went into the New York Public Library. I was hanging out, and I sat in a chair, and somebody left a book there, and I looked into it. It was the poetry of Edgar Allan Poe. I got really into it. Poe really got me out of myself. I learned not to worry about myself so much and to touch other people. I decided to be a writer. I tried writing a bunch of screenplays, but nothing worked. I was totally broke and didn't even have $50. I finally sold a script. It was called Paradise Alley, a movie I made many years later. I sold it for $100. I was thrilled and thought I was on my way, but it never led to anything. I kept going and going. Finally I was so broke, I hocked my wife's jewelry. This was the end of our relationship. We were so broke and had nothing. No food, no money. I still have the one thing I love most in the world, my dog. I loved my dog because he gave me unconditional love. Unfortunately we were so broke to survive I couldn't even feed my dog. So I went to a liquor store. This was the lowest day of my life. I stood outside the liquor store trying to sell my dog to strangers. I tried to sell my dog for $50. Finally there's one guy who negotiated with me and bought my dog, my best friend on earth, for $25. I walked away from there and I cried. This was the worst thing that ever happened in my life. 2 weeks later, I'm watching a fight between Muhammad Ali and Wepner, this white guy who keeps getting bludgeoned but just keeps coming. Then I got an idea. As soon as the fight ended I started writing for 20 hours straight. I did not sleep. I wrote the entire script for Rocky in 20 hours. I was shaking at the end. I was so excited. I knew what I wanted and why I wanted it. I took action and now it was time to deliver. I went out and tried selling the script to agents. They would all read it. They'd say this is predictable, this is sappy. I wrote down all the things they said and I read them the night of the Oscars when we won. The greatest revenge is massive success. When I was trying to sell the script, nobody was buying. I'm still broke and starving. I finally met these guys and they read the script and believed in it. They love it and offer me $125,000 for my script. I said just one thing and you got a deal. They asked what? I said I have to star in it. The guys said, "What are you talking about, you're a writer." I said, "No, I'm an actor. This is my story and I'm Rocky." The guys responded that there's no way they're gonna pay $125,000 and stick some no name in it. It'd be throwing money away. We need a star. I said, well, I'm Rocky. The guys said, well, take it or leave it. I left the room and said, if this is what you believe, you don't get my script. I walked away because I knew what I wanted and why I wanted it. I was committed to my vision. The guys called me back a few weeks later. They offered me $250,000 to not star in my movie. I turned them down. They came back with a final offer of $325,000. They really wanted this. I said not without me, and they said no. Finally they compromised and gave me $35,000 and points in the movie. The first thing I did after was go to that liquor store for 3 straight days and hope that I could find the man I sold my dog to so I could buy him back. On the 3rd day I see the guy with my dog. I said, remember me? I'm the guy who sold you the dog. I go, yeah, I love the dog. I said, look, I was so broke. I was starving. He's my best friend. I'm sure you love him too, but I gotta have him back. Please, I beg of you, I'll pay you $100 for the dog. I know you paid me $25, I'll give you $100. The man said, absolutely not, no way. It's my dog now, you can't buy him back. I knew my outcome. So I kept changing my approach. I went $500 for the dog. The guy said, absolutely no way. I said, $1,000 for my dog. The guy said, no amount of money in the universe is gonna get this dog. Kept changing my approach. Finally I got my dog back at the end. It cost me $10,000 and a part in Rocky. So there's always a way if you're committed. Keep fighting and change your approach. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more inspirational videos.